Question, the member from Beaches, East York.
Well, thank you, Speaker, and my question is to the Minister of Housing. Housing affordability touches the lives of so many Ontarians, and I know that many of my constituents in Beaches, East York feel the pressures of buying a home or affording their rent. And with the introduction of the Fair Housing Plan in April 2017, we brought greater stability to the rental market. In particular, many of my constituents I know were glad to see that rent controls were now being applied to their homes. And rent control has helped protect 237,000 people in Ontario who can now rest easy knowing they can't be forced out of their homes because the rent has suddenly been doubled. And earlier this month, Speaker, the minister announced the details of another housing policy that I have been, and many on the members on this side of the House have been advocating for, and that is inclusionary housing. Inclusionary zoning. Speaker, will the minister share the details of this new affordable housing tool with the members of this House? Thank you.
Minister of Housing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member for Beaches East York for his advocacy on this issue. I was happy to announce last week, Mr. Speaker, that inclusionary zoning is now the law in Ontario. Municipalities across this province now have access to this tool that will help them design and formulate their own plan on how to deliver affordable housing in partnership with the private sector, Mr. Speaker. Municipalities will be able to decide how many units would be provided in certain developments, the period of affordability, the level of affordability, what kind of financial contribution they would make towards that, and they would be able to devise the housing solution for their community that fits their needs. Municipalities across the province, housing advocates, AMO, have all welcomed this this new tool that we've brought forward, Mr. Speaker. It's another commitment made and commitment delivered.
Supplementary.
Well, thank you, Speaker, and I certainly want to thank the Minister for clarifying this policy for us and being able to make that announcement. It's a very important tool that I know in Beaches, East York, as we're building new rental and condominium properties all across the neighbourhood, will be very, very useful. And I want to thank the Minister particularly because of the service he had on Municipal Council with Doug Ford, the leader of the PCs, where we know that his housing policy consisted of handing out $20 bills to residents in Toronto community housing companies.
Shame.
We know that creating affordable housing that is accessible to a young family buying their first home or to a minimum wage worker is absolutely vital to supporting our vision of a fair Ontario. Housing affordability is a critical part of Ontario's plan to support care, create opportunity, and make life more affordable today and tomorrow. And on behalf of my constituents, I'd like to thank the Minister and this government for putting in place progressive policies in housing that help us all build a productive and fulfilling lives for their children, for their parents, for our communities.
Question.
Will the Minister then please tell us more about the public's reaction to last week's announcement?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive, Mr. Speaker. We worked with our stakeholders, we worked with municipalities, we listened, and we've created an inclusionary zoning tool that reflects what municipalities asked for, which is flexibility. The ability for them to craft their own local bylaws and policies that will help deliver thousands of new affordable units every year. But, Mr. Speaker, there's more to affordable housing than just inclusionary zoning. We're investing over $540 million in social housing retrofits. Doug Ford wants to cut the Cap and Invest program that would fund that.
Does he?
Doug Ford has said he's not in support of rent control, which we've expanded to all Ontario tenants. When Doug Ford and I sat on the board of Build Toronto, the City of Toronto's real estate agency, he was not supportive of using city land for affordable housing. And he doesn't even support supportive housing for autistic kids. There is no affordable housing in Doug Ford's.
Thank you. New question.